Hello there, welcome back to Sonic Adventure. You can just call me Stent. I meant to stream this yesterday, but unfortunately, likely because I removed a certain mod from my mod list, the data I had on the playthrough we were doing got deleted, and I had to play all through yesterday in order to get back to where we were, which granted wasn't the didn't take too long, since once you skip all the cutscenes and such, it's the game does a good job at not wasting your time. Superstars. So fortunately, we're basically back to where we were. That being said, we may as well move on to the next character on the roster. Everybody's favorite seizure bot, Gamma. Going to be quite interesting comparing how I feel about him compared to the Max from Adventure 2, which granted I mostly play with mods also. I keep forgetting I have vibration on. It's well, you've probably heard it before. Still can't help but wonder exactly what the reaction to this was back in 98 and 99. Just the fact that you actually got to play as what is essentially a modern egg robo. Even has a similar color scheme. I mean, obviously when I first played this when I was a kid, I basically had no real context to just how groundbreaking this was. I just figured it was a weird little oddity. Gonna have to get used to this sort of lock-on and turning circle. There's Metal again, just chilling in his pod, waiting for heroes, I suppose. Going off of what we learned last time with the Chaser Robo Zero, considering he is technically E100, it's still kind of weird to me that he was never considered Alpha. Because as of right now, it just feels as though we're straight up missing a robot out of this brand spanking new E-series. I want to check, is there actually... Oh yeah, there is a way of actually getting up there. Let me just check. Yep. Spring back here. Let's see where this leads. Probably nowhere at the moment because I don't have any particular upgrades. Ooh! Look at this. Look at this little fun bonus area. Can't remember the last time I actually came up here. It is something I like about these older games, though, just how you're rewarded for exploration, which... I don't know. Going back and playing a little bit of Frontiers, I don't really feel that kind of reward is really there. I mean, at least to less of an extent in the open zones. Honestly, I have quite a bit to say about that, in all honesty. As most of it is just running around for what is basically just... Oh. I wanted to see if Gamma can actually do anything with this. I wouldn't expect him to, but want me to find out, I suppose. Can he actually go in here? No, I didn't think so. Alright, let's just head down the stairs. Yeah, all you really got for exploration back in Frontiers was basically memory tokens for doing platform challenges. I get it's something, but I didn't exactly find it all the more rewarding, I just felt it was more busy work than anything. I would ask why I don't get to missile hands, but then again, living with those and not having any hands at all must be a nightmare. And now we get all these cool robot death matches, which, thinking about it, and kind of can't help but really wonder, what if Eggman televised this and just made a channel which was basically Extreme Robot Wars? I'd probably tune into that. Well, probably not with these cameramen, though, just... What is this angle? Sure you did. Yeah, I will admit the Japanese version of this cutscene I feel is paced a little bit better with the dialogue. It really just feels like another example of the localization just fudging things up in this game, which has definitely been a recurring theme throughout the series, and I feel that's not going to end anytime soon, unfortunately. I can still see you. I did always think this scene was pretty cool though, just great example of Eggman's ego on display. He doesn't need to do any of this, yet he does it anyway, because he likes it. He's good at it. So yeah, I think in terms of where each character starts and finishes their stories, I think Gamma comes in the latest. This like big story basically starts after Sonic's Casinopolis. Amy's obviously oh, there's Cream again. Still couldn't get her to not glitch out of existence like she's some ghost, but may as well talk to some of the locals. Wow, it's a robot. What? A frog? Well, come to think of it, I think I saw one back at the hotel. Nobody mentioning the purple cat also hunting for it? Transportation screeches on a halt because of strike. Quick settlement demanded. They're just holding out for more, if you ask me. Oh, very, very topical game. Oh, police! What exactly is the police gonna do against this big hulking thing with a gun? I mean, we all saw Sonic X and how they applied flamethrowers to missile wrist for some reason. Oh yeah, and this also reminds me, for completing the Twinkle Circuit with Sonic, Amy, and Big, get a cart pass, meaning we get to do Twinkle Circuit with all the other characters. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that for this particular playthrough though, because, well, I think we're on the clock a little bit. Got this to get through, the Knuckles' story to get through, and then hopefully we'll be able to wrap this up tonight. Hello, you're looking for Mr. Frog. I'm afraid I don't see anyone that name's staying in the hotel. Look harder. My company's on strike, so I can't go to work. Hee hee. What a bummer. Not! Truly 90s dialogue here. Guess I can't talk to anyone whilst I'm in roller form. Froggy? I saw him hop towards the beach. A big cat was looking for him too. There we go. That frog? Yeah, you're the second person asking about a frog. So yeah, this basically starts, I believe, just as Sonic is taking off on Red Mountain. Big started at Casinopolis, Amy started after Sky Chase, obviously, Tails started after Sonic's Emerald Coast, and Knuckles, I think, technically happens earlier? We'll see about that. It's just a general little detail I like about how all the characters just start at different points. It's not like 06 where they have to really justify having every character visit every stage. It's just... No, instead in this game, every character visits every stage they need to visit, even if in some cases there's not enough stages. Case in point, Amy. I will admit it's a little inconclusive as to how the aiming works compared to Adventure 2, because once again I use mods which make this significantly easier. I mean, not to say that this is hard at all, it's just sometimes when it comes to your aiming laser, Gamma tends to be a bit sluggish when targeting multiple enemies. At least from what I've experienced. He is definitely better at platforming though, and okay, we're already getting the Zakal flashback. I think this is the earliest we get. We also get access to one of the best lines in the game. At least in the dub. You'd think you'd be able to corroborate this place of Angel Island. Aww. It's a little more, for lack of a better word, cute than the classic line, "This presents a problem." I want to use that line a lot more, to be honest. It's just... good personality behind it, and oh! There's the call just standing, looking over there. I think you can tell this game wasn't exactly designed for widescreen. If the insanely ugly borders from the base PC port were anything to go by. Oh, thank you. Starting to get a little peeved off by that. I'm not gonna say I was gonna shoot them, but... well, we shouldn't have said that. He didn't look very gentle to me when I fought him. So we start getting a little bit of the conflict here at this point. Whoa. Closed off his heart. Something tells me if Sonic's decal flashback was any indication, shouldn't hold out too much hope there. Really gives off a from the beginning you know the end sort of vibe, if you don't get what I mean. How did... I mean, I guess they're sort of familiar looking. At least in terms of their silhouettes. Pretty sure they would have thought to get the color right at least. You'd think Eggman would tense keep this thing safeguarded rather than just throwing it in his fish tank. Oh, but look at them, they're... I feel I shouldn't try to make too many quips given how sad this story can get. Still definitely one of the best in the series, I'd say. Yes, Gamma, go and mess up that bird. Do whatever you want to the girl, just bring the bird to me. Yeah, Eggman, you really need to do something about that rotating floor thing. What is it even there for? Oh. Look at all these parts just strewn about all over the floor. Just cast aside like garbage. Admittedly, I've always been curious as to what exactly Eggman's plans were for Beta Mark II. I know he just sort of languishes here on the egg carrier for the most part, but... you'd think he'd have a plan for him. A little bit of an understatement there, just throwing in some good old existential crises. Entry restricted. Oh yeah, I think these rooms, at least for Gamma, are have unique descriptions. Egg carrier reservoir, warhead to be drained is stored here. Hopefully it doesn't end up in a place with too much water in that case. Teehee. Look at that, Amy's somehow managed to get an insane high score here already despite being in prison. Hedgehog hammer, you might want to bring a hammer with you. Oh, hello. First you just caught us, in prison, about to interrogate a young girl about a bird. Probably should show off that egg at some point, thinking about it. Sorry, I just, I didn't want to really interrupt that scene, that's all. I didn't really have much that I, felt I need to interject with, but I couldn't help but wonder, what exactly would, post, like, 2010's Amy act in that scene? Or, at the very least, Frontiers era Amy. Part of me doesn't think it bears thinking about. Hey Beals, hey Norm, we were just about to get our next upgrade. Mic test. It's kind of weird here, I always thought this as a kid. How come Eggman never growled out Gamma for letting Amy escape? I mean, surely he'd I mean, after the example he's shown with the other E-series robots, he just grill Gamma out for failing at his one job to just get a bird. I mean, granted, with Sage you can argue that he's been getting soft, but then again, this is before his moon-shattering plan. Okay, it's rear deck 1, implying that there's multiple rear decks. Anyways, yeah, the jet booster. I'll admit, I think I prefer how the hover works in Adventure 2, where it gives you a little bit of lift. Here, though, I feel it just sort of kills your forward momentum a little bit. I feel it's something that's easily demonstrated when you actually play it in-game. It's not like in Adventure 2 where it carries your speed and gives you a little bit of lift. It does get the job done though, at least in this game. Even though I have no idea as to how it's supposed to provide upwards lift. Alright, and now we get to see Sonic the Tractor Simulator here. Basically what every single Sonic the Tractor basically wanted to do to the little guy. Ready? I just find this whole fight so funny to me. You just literally shoot him. And then it just wraps up with this little scene here where Gamma's just about to blow his head off. Look at him, he's just getting ready to just unload. I will admit it's definitely kind of weird with exactly what the official timeline for this particular scene plays out. Is it Sonic's version? Is it Amy's version? Is it Gamma's version? I mean, this scene is definitely a standout version of this scene. I do think because of Gamma's story in this game, he, for the longest time, has just been one of my favorite characters, but I feel now for top spot that's being contested at this point by Vector of all characters. He's certainly the most relatable of the bunch. To me, at least. You can tell the story is driven by the fact I'm not saying anything. Let's see, character stories completed already. So far, Sonic, Tails, Big, and Amy. I did always find it funny just how whenever he goes into helicopter mode, his eyes just sort of pop out like he's a glitch in Scarlet and Violet. No idea why it does that, it's just amusing to me. I suppose in terms of robot stories in Sonic, it's always kind of weird to me that we've never seen G-Merle again, or Gemerle from Advance 3. I mean, I get he was only in like a GBA game, so he's probably not the most well-known character, but given how much lore dumping they did in Frontiers, I don't think that's really an excuse anymore. Anyways, what's your deal? Cool costume. Where'd you get it? The city? Where'd you get it? Costume store? Alright, about the Japanese script, I come to personally prefer it. Honestly, I do quite like Big's story, mostly just because of the, lack of a better word, the juxtaposition, because the whole thing with Big is that in the game itself he is sort of a joke, not in the meta sense like he is in the 2010s, but more so he's this everyman character who has basically no reason being part of the story at all, and yet he just is. Oh, that's a shame. Hopefully you can find something else to satiate you. But in terms of robot stories, I am kind of perplexed as to how we've basically gotten nothing with Metal Sonic since Heroes. The last thing we got was technically Free Riders, which was him basically enacting his plan from Heroes again, but worse. I will admit, in terms of the beta version of Windy Valley, I never quite expected Gamma to play so well in it. Generally feel the scale of this place, even though this level is definitely a lot shorter, it is still, for all intents and purposes, quite rewarding to go through with the jet booster especially. Alright, and just like in standard Windy Valley, they said Willy Valley there. I believe if we can just get on this platform here, we can choose these fights just like in the original. Albeit it's a bit harder since you have to be in the right spot. This would probably make for a very boring episode of Robot Wars, thinking about it. It's also kind of weird in terms of robot stories. We never actually did get anything with, what is it, Mechasonic Mark III in Eggman's base in this game. He's just sort of there. But I know he's technically featured in Archie, but... Alright, take care. I know that version of Robosonic is featured in Archie, but... aside from that, I've barely seen him anywhere. It's just... this weird little oddity robot which appeared in this game and then never again. Anyways, let's go on to the next area. It's still kind of weird to me that this whole cave system here just keeps resealing itself and then breaking itself open at will, seemingly, depending on which character you're playing as. It's like with Sonic and Tails at the very least, it's opened at the same time. With Knuckles, it was... we'll get to Knuckles in a bit, actually, but... generally speaking... it's just a bit of an oddity as to how this hole in the wall just keeps forming and reforming. Oh yeah, we also have this monkey right here. I'm gonna get a bit of a chuckle out of him later, but for now, you just shoot him. Oh yeah, here we are, Red Mountain. I will admit this, in terms of levels in this game, I feel that in terms of theming alone, this was definitely the standout for me. It's just so unlike anything else in the game. It just came at a point where everything in the plot was really starting to get moving and getting all exciting, and this part in particular really stuck out to me with just the music, the imagery, the fire. It's super memorable to me. It's like I can't even speak today. Chow raising, not so far in this game. I might... maybe in the new year I'll dedicate a stream to it. I mean, if everyone else wants that. Then again, in terms of chow raising, I feel I might want to dedicate that to a stream in Adventure 2 where, with Chow World Extended especially, the whole chow raising system is a lot more defined, if that makes sense. Especially given there's multiple ways as to expediting the grind, which, needless to say, is something that I'm starting to grow weary of in games. Alright, and here we go with another fantastic episode of Robot Wars. Get over here, Epsilon. They say memory is the key. I'm about to unlock your death. He's just spazzing out in the corner. Yeah, despite everything I've done to try and make this the best version of Adventure 1 possible, there is still some inherent jank. I mean, I've heard potential rumors about an Adventure 1 remake alongside Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. I'll personally believe it when I see it. Because any potential adventure remake has very, very big shoes to fill. needless to say. There's a whole... Yeah, that's fair. There's a whole series of videos out there regarding a potential adventure remake, what could be added to it, what could be changed, what could be done to freshen it up, make it more modern, whilst also helping to patch together the story a little bit better. The jungle never ends. It's getting dark. We better set camp. Does any of this look like a jungle to you? There's literally a polarized mountain over there. What's jungle about any of this? Well, Isaac, we were just about to finish up. I'm surprised this has gone by so quickly, in all honesty. I guess it's just that Gamma doesn't really interact with many people. It's just him all on his lonesome. Just on his mission to save his friends. Jungle grass. I mean, I guess. To be honest, when it comes to the jungle grass, it's the thing I'm thinking least of. Still find it weird that this great track was never used outside of this particular cutscene anywhere in the original game. Obviously I have a mod in here to reinstate it into the Crash Day Carrier site just to make it a bit more distinct. Anyway, since we're here, we may as well get Gamma's other upgrade. Why? I like it. There we go, ammunition room. My mistake, it's the reservoir room. It's been a little bit since I played this. There we go, reservoir, wastewater. I mean, there's a whole bunch of wastewater outside, so let's have a look in here, and laser blaster. I always found it kind of a fun little touch that both the upgrades you get for Gamma are both upgrades you also get in Adventure 2 for Tails and Eggman. I mean, it makes sense given the similar playstyles, but it's just one of those things which I couldn't help but notice. Because of course not all the upgrades came back in Adventure 2. Like, obviously off the top of my head there's Knuckles' fighting gloves. Did that guy just do a wave dash? Just sliding all over the bathroom floor. What? Yeah, these cogs, whilst they are quite fun platforming challenges, they aren't exactly the Oh yeah, and I also get to show this. Gamma has the slowest ladder climb in the whole game. Look at him go! That's a very good question. I mean, at least it made sense that he guided Gamma to his jet booster, but the laser blaster just being in the bottom of a reservoir is just super weird. I mean, not as weird as finding some Nikes in the sewers. I mean, I suppose Station Square is sort of based off Los Angeles, so I guess that checks out. It's just generally one of the weirder power placements, I'd say. So, would I recommend playing Sonic Adventure? I feel that's something I should say for the end, but I'll just say this. The base game on PC is kind of borked, so the mods are sort of needed to put it in a presentable state, because there's a lot of things that affect both the visuals and gameplay. Like, I've basically done all I can to try to make this version of Adventure 1 as nice as possible, given the limitations of the Dreamcast and etc. Try to bring it more to an authentic look, if that makes sense. Well, I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite Gamma levels, just for this sort of whole set piece alone. It's just one of the most unique things in the game, I think. Just this whole thing about going back and forth on a train. This is sort of something you never really see at all in the rest of the series, aside from maybe Radical Train, but that's not exactly one-to-one. Oh yeah, we also get to this part, the drop. So good that they brought it back in Adventure 2. Twice. You're literally just falling down a giant shaft, like, where does any of this fit in the egg carrier? This is a mile-long drop. Alright, take care, Isaac. Still feel it's definitely easier to aim with Tails and Eggman at Adventure 2, though. At least, that's my experience. And here we go. E105 Zeta made up of Dreamcasts. You can literally see the texture there. His body is literally made up of old Dreamcasts. I suppose with the poor salesman, they had to go somewhere. Was that too soon? Maybe it was too soon, but yeah, fairly easy boss. I just love how just the head alone just sort of pops off. Like, not just a big dramatic explosion, just literally goes... That's probably a bad one, let me try again. That'll do. Alright, so that was Zeta, meaning we get to the real meat of the story now, right at the end. It's kind of convenient how Beta just shows up there right at the instant when Gamma's having an existential crisis, realizing that in order to complete his mission he has to rescue himself, for lack of a better word. Anyways, let's move on to Gamma's final boss with his cool lighting effect. E101 Mark II. Definitely one of the cooler bosses in my opinion, with actual mechanics. In that he actually parries your shots, unlike the other Robot Wars contestants. Look at that! Straight out of Frontiers, this guy. I'll admit I never was exactly certain about my thoughts on this track. I mean, it's definitely good. I just don't think it's the most fitting for this, what is supposed to be an emotional fight between brothers. It's definitely funky, I will give it that. It is called Big Bang Attack lasers. Oh, now he's doing the volley. I think he's like one of the only Sonic characters I've actually seen use one of these beam laser attacks like you see in Dragon Ball. Complete with these massive explosions which do nothing to damage the engine. And there we go. I do find that little After Effects thing he does as he malfunctions down there kind of cool. And now we get the big moments. With his final ditch effort, he pulls a cheap shot and... well, after everything he's gone through, Gamma can't exactly survive this one, unfortunately. So yeah, remember from Amy's story when I mentioned that nothing definitely traumatic and horrible went on with these two birds before Amy showed up? That might have been a lie. This is a lot harder after completing Amy's story, I will say. He even turns back, recognizing his friend at the last minute. And then... that's it. And as many people have pointed out, despite his heroics in the end, no one will ever know. Despite completing his mission and seeing it through to the end, going out on his own terms, no one will know even that he's gone. For all Amy knows, Gamma is still out there somewhere. And she'll never quite know his fate. I mean, I know you could argue about the depiction of the fight in Sonic X, but I think it's widely considered the Sonic X adaptation of this game was very rushed and didn't really land all the major beats. Gamma's story especially is just mostly skimmed over. Alright, I'll join you. So yeah, I mentioned at the start of this that Gamma was one of my favorite characters. I think the main reason for that was mostly bitterness, admittedly. Just the fact that Gamma had such a good story, and at the end of it, he stayed dead. Unless you want to count Battle, which I don't think anybody counts Battle anymore. Yeah, unlike someone like Shadow, Gamma's story just completed right here, and honestly, it was kind of perfect, I'd say. I mean, because of that, I'd still say Gamma's one of my favorite characters, but again, I mentioned before that Vector might be competing for the role, mostly just for surely how relatable he is. I was thinking about he's trying to work a job, trying to pay rent for a place he can't afford, and trying to get into a relationship with arguably the best girl in the series. I'm just gonna say that my favorite is Vanilla. Probably best I don't go into any of that, to be honest. Just not. At least probably not yet. I probably will once sooner or later. It's gonna slip eventually. It's just a matter of when. I remember as well there was also a chiptune version of this song with in which it added lyrics. And honestly, listening back to it, I'll probably link it in the chat to be honest, but definitely thought it hit hard with me. Let me bring it up so you can probably have a look. I'll just leave that in there for you to listen to at your own time. It's just... especially given his English voice actor passed away, it's just... I feel that makes it even harder, in my opinion. Sonic Team presents. I kind of miss that logo in all honesty, and yep, it still ends in that bittersweet way. We won, but at what cost? Probably not the best thing to follow up that somber ending, but anyways, let's move on to the last of the 6 characters. Good old Knuckles. Everybody's favorite redhead. With the dreads. So yeah, technically speaking, the story of Sonic Adventure starts here, and I will admit it's kind of weird that the egg carrier is still actually operable at this point in time. Also don't get why he never put the emerald back in Hidden Palace. I mean, I get technically they wanted to move away from the old Sonic 3 locales for this, but given how it's retroactively been made not the case, it's just super weird. There's just this big inconsistency here. It's not even Sky Sanctuary, it's just this random part of Angel Island, and not Hidden Palace of it at all, which you'd think would be the best place to hide it, but I guess not. Oh, Knuckles said a naughty word. Yeah, I think the whole Master Emerald shattering thing here isn't exactly the best communicated. Like a lot of things in Knuckles' story, unfortunately, it's just... I think it's led to assume that Eggman somehow was able to shatter the emerald, and Chaos was just trapped in it alongside big floating tinsel ball there. So we may as well get acquainted to Knuckles' moveset real quick. Obviously he has his 1-2 punch here. Honestly, I'm not too big of a fan of this compared to his Adventure 2 version for one specific reason. Unlike in Adventure 2, where you can just go into a free punch combo while running, in Adventure 1, you just go straight into a ball. Which I suppose is fine in Adventure 2, but in terms of the mods I've got, I've also given Knuckles a spin dash. I've actually got it working. So it plays a little bit more like how he does in the classics. A piece of the Master Emerald? Sorry, I don't know, but you should be take a careful look around. This town's full of stuff. Who knows, you might find what you're looking for. What's going on? The train station's closed? The station's pretty relaxed around about time, huh? I haven't seen you around before. Are you a friend of Sonic or Amy? At this point, probably not. May as well take this and turn it into Twinkle Circuit. Still don't plan on doing any of the Twinkle Circuits in here, because honestly I don't think we need to. Now I would like to just move on to Knuckles' first level. Hey Keith, we're just getting started with Knuckles' story. Oh yeah, there's this girl right here. Go for it. I wished on a shooting star last night. I really want to meet that guy from the burger shop. A shooting star, you say? Was it a green one? So yeah, this whole area was barred off basically after the Sonic and Chaos fight. But of course, since we're Knuckles, one light tap, it just sends it flying into the wall. It's one thing I kind of appreciate about this game, just the respect for Knuckles' strength, because he's supposed to be as strong as Sonic is fast, and yet the games have led you, the later games have just led you to assume that that's Amy's whole thing. Anyways, yeah, Speed Highway may look a little bit different, so because I decided to bring up the auto demo version, so I can show you potentially the running on glass section right here. No, it's not anything spectacular, but I thought it was still pretty cool. In fact, I'd say this whole version of the stages, even though technically speaking, you can basically snap it in half by just climbing over this section here, which has a spring, so you can just go immediately to City Hall and the capsule is Sonic. Okay. There we go, that didn't take very long at all. Yeah, it's auto demo, the best way I can put it is basically an earlier build of Speed Highway, which I think was scrapped for technical reasons. Possible limitations, which obviously on a PC aren't really an issue. Multiplayer mod, I've seen a lot of it, but I don't have it active, unfortunately. It's just me. Alright, and we also get to experience Casinopolis conveniently at the same time Sonic and Tails are in there. Fab neon funky music. So this is the casino I've heard everyone talking about. I wonder what that switch over the sign does. Don't you just want to press it? That's kind of a shame they still aren't showing the man free. I wanted to see that. Probably better than most films in the cinema nowadays. Anyways, Casinopolis. Fan games, I do definitely plan on playing some on the channel. Like, I know the Triple Trouble 16-bit one was a had glowing recommendations of it. Anyways, this Sonic statue I've mentioned before in Sonic Story, with the rings you put in the vault, they eventually build up with an obscene amount of rings to create this Sonic statue. And they just immediately break it with Knuckles. This game is just so full of little details that, despite the jank, you just sort of miss a lot of the time. I played a little bit of Sonic Battle Lore, though it was probably an earlier build. I should probably check it out again, see if anything major has been added to it. Oh, it's this. It's in the lion's mouth. Come on, let me in there. Don't take that out of context. Alright, and I forgot to mention that whole cowgirl statue. Like, pin-up thing. That wasn't in the original. I should say it was, at least in earlier builds, but I think it got taken out for censorship, and at the very least the DX version. Oh really? It's an honor, I suppose. I guess I'm obligated to play it now, though I'll probably have to wait until I've done Dream Team, which will probably be next week. I mean, once I come back from, you know, celebrating Christmas. Alright, and that's another bit of a mod feature that I forgot to mention. The fact that, with the new Tricks mod, I get the Drill Claw. It's more just sort of a nice means of quickly getting to ground, and especially when teamed with a certain level up item, which we'll be getting soon. Suppose it is kind of obvious looking at the username in full, isn't it? Alright, let's see what your deal is. Sacred power? No way. I don't believe it. We're going in to get those stones! Then we can rule the world! You'd think these guys would have learned their lesson after what happened with the Nocturnus clan, but I'm guessing that's not canon anymore. It's not at the front of the gate. The 7 emeralds are there. With those 7 emeralds, our dreams will come true! Oh yeah, that is kind of a shame. There is no rats in this game. It's just standard digging sounds for Knuckles. We'll probably have to wait for Adventure 2 for that to come about, but I have something special planned for Adventure 2, so we may be waiting on that for a little while, unfortunately. Getting stoned to rule the world. I dread to imagine what would happen if that... What sort of decision would we make under such an influence? Sure, it would just lead to, well, for lack of a better word, chaos. I will admit I haven't tried the netplay mod for Adventure 2. I probably have to take a little while to figure out how to set that up. Anyways, let's go and actually continue the story. So we saw this little conflict being mentioned before in Gamma's story. I did admittedly grow up with the Battle Network games when I was a kid, at the very least 4 and 5. Well, I admit I also definitely prefer the voice direction for Tikal in the Japanese dub. Just a lot more emotive, I'd say. Oh, and the last time there's Cream again, just still glitching in and out of existence. There she goes. And here's just Sonic and Tails after getting gassed. Still have no idea why Eggman doesn't just use that gas attack more often than does not. I mean, it seemed pretty effective at just knocking them straight out. It's just... At that point, you could just put him in Mega Mac and just call it a night. I haven't heard that much about Star Force in all honesty. I mean, I can only assume it was good. It's one of those things that feels a bit more obscure to me. I will admit, when I was younger, I never actually realized that the walls here were actually windows going out into the cityscape. I feel with these Dreamcast textures is more easily telegraphed in that case, but here I just thought they were just shiny white walls in the DX version. So this is technically the last Chaos form, or at least new Chaos form we get to see before the final story. And I can't help but feel that Chaos's Edition Enforcers, just real big missed opportunity not to feature more Chaos forms. Like, you could have had a boss battle where you start off as 0, then it goes to 2, then 4, then 6. Heck, it could have been an opportunity to showcase Chaos 5 and 3, which we'd never actually seen. Well, isn't that the million-dollar question, Rian? Alright, come on. Stop trying to flood the floor and hit me already. Here we go, the old Dasani jokes. You boil vegetables in it, they turn to coal. Come on, just stop trying to hit me and hit me. There we go. I'll admit the hitbox on that stretchy arm attack always sort of threw me off. Well, admit spin dash it definitely makes this a bit more easier though, just being able to play more hit and run, which granted probably isn't the most in character for Knuckles, but it certainly helps with this fight. I've never seen him use this floor attack so much in whenever I fight him. It's just... There we go. Okay, one more hit. I think this is when he does his bubble attack. I just noticed he actually affects the chandelier up there. Have you noticed that? That's literally the first time I've noticed him actually affecting the chandelier. But here we go, here's his bubble attack. Can you actually go in and hit his... Well, that would have been pretty cool if you could actually go in and hit his core there, just speed up this fight. Because I will admit, these chaos fights are sort of the weakest in the whole game. Like, 6 is pretty fun, even if it is over pretty quickly, but 2 and 4, you're just sort of waiting for him to make himself open. Yeah, I do definitely think I prefer how Eggman tries to convince Knuckles of Sonic going after the Master Emerald in this game. He just tries to push him to be a bit more urgent about it, rather than just whatever the dub was trying to do about him being on a wild goose chase. Let's just say it was a happy little accident. Anyways, let's go in and actually get our first upgrade for Knuckles. Weird object in the cave. What is it? Should I tell somebody? I mean, you can tell me. Just look at me. I'm the most reliable looking guy in the whole world. Alright, and here we get to one of my favorite parts of the game. Not the obtaining of the shovel claw, that's sort of okay. In general, in the base game, not exactly the most momentous of occasions, considering you have to hold 2 buttons down in order to do it, and it's kind of slow. But since I have Drogclaw on this mod, I can just do it instantly, like you would in Adventure 2. So I can just do this. There it is, Monkey Destruction Switch. But classic, just... Why would Eggman make something like this? Alright, Monkey's Destruction Switch. Does what it says on the tin. What do you have to say about these funky looking claws now? Nothing? Yeah, I wanted to give Omens a fair shakedown. Yeah, I did have a little bit of a laugh with that one, but generally speaking, I think I didn't mind it so much despite its controversies. It's more sort of, the actual, like, levels in themselves I thought were pretty good on the most part. The bosses were kind of a mixed bag. Mostly a mixed bag. Frieza would like the Monkey Destruction Switch. Well, of course he would, but... Yeah, the plain levels in, Omens, I couldn't quite stand them either. It's just... quite the unbearable thing to go through, I'd say. I mean, I get what they were going for with the Hyper Tornado from Sonic X, but... generally speaking, I think that should have been something that was, for the most part, cut. I'll be honest, I didn't have too much of a problem with Exile when I fought him. At least compared to some other boss fights in the game, like Vortex, which... What was that fight? Not entirely certain whether or not I found that accidentally or not. I suppose a pleasant surprise thinking back to Omens, I was sort of dreading that treetop level where you're trying to climb that tree. I thought it was going to be about as egregious as the towers in Frontiers, but honestly, I didn't think it was that bad when I played it. Generally, a lot of levels in Frontiers I thought were just generally quite fun, though the one on the train with Shadow was one which was sort of a curve for me. Had to remember to use Chaos Control and all that. Which is weird, because speaking of Shadow, did they patch the Maria boss fight to not be as hard? Because it was way easier than I was expecting it to be. Good camera, thank you. Needless to say, I think I prefer the hint system in Adventure 2, because you get stuff like this, where Tikal just clips through the floor and you lose track of her immediately. It literally just disappears through the floor. Tikal, where are you going? I can't follow you through solid matter. Yeah, I can see why people might not exactly be the biggest fan of the treasure hunting stages if this is the bar. You're just sort of wandering around the level trying to figure out where this next thing is. I'm guessing it's over this way. Thanks a bunch to call, I couldn't quite get that hint. Oh yeah, and the, that Emblem Challenge mod really just disappears from the floor. What the heck? Yeah, in terms of the SA1 radar, I think I get why they had to change it for Adventure 2 to compensate for the multiplayer with how the hint system works, but needless to say, by default I usually have a mod on which has the radar system more like it is in Adventure 1. Oh, you mean the whole "you're going the wrong way" thing? I feel this is one of the more common levels to find it on, to be honest. I think I may have to try restarting to try and get a better spawn point for this emerald. Yeah, I'm just going to restart. Hope. Yep, still get two shards, and that didn't help in the slightest. Yeah, I think I might be a little stumped on the location of this emerald. Please don't do this to me, game. I'm in a bit of a hurry here. Yeah, just clips straight through the ground. How am I supposed to find emeralds with that? Let's see, do I dare? Do I dare just restart the whole level over again and try to get better spawns? Because this is... Wait. No. False alarm. I thought it was an emerald piece. Turns out to just be a big green light. Alright, I think we're just gonna restart. Yeah, that was the worrying thing. Just absolutely zero indication at all on the radar. At least here we're starting to get some more indication. They're not quite as in sight as compared to last time, but we should still have at least some indication of where to go. Alright, here's one. Looks like we're coming across another. And finally, an actual guide to an emerald shard, going right all the way over here. Yep, and it was an enemy. Yep, that was worth it. Knuckles, why are you in a rock? Knuckles, why are you doing this to me? I don't want to say it was glitched that last piece was glitched somewhere, but starting to feel that might have been the case. Anyways, I think we're done here. Let's go beat up Sonic. Oh, I can already tell with those sort of classic memes, I'm gonna have a fair bit of fun with heroes. Amount of it appeared out of nowhere. It soils a lot more. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot to say about this whole soil business a little bit later. Hey, I just saw Sonic. I think he was headed for the waterfall. Alright, now it's time for oh no. It's always annoyed me as a kid that Knuckles never just walked up and asked why Sonic was going after the Master Emerald Shards, but I guess he is Knuckles and he is prone to violence. Alright. Now this time I have a spin dash. What do you think of that? Just sock him in the face. Yeah, I've seen some test runs of heroes just completely spazzes out. Yeah, it's Japanese dialogue with retranslated English text. Because I generally prefer the Japanese voice cast, since I'm one of those people. We also get to see Knuckles say this one last time. Urusai! Cows! I always found it amusing in Japanese why he just pronounced it cows. Not even cows. Just cows. Alright. Chaos 4 again. Knuckles taking this a bit more serious in his whole eating dirt line. Whilst I still definitely do like the lighting changes in this area, still think this boss fight is still pretty dull. You're just waiting for him to attack. It's like a Superstars boss. Before Superstars. Yeah, that's a little bit of an element that I kind of miss from the series. Just the fact that Sonic characters using minor swears. Which, granted, was something which I remember being fairly early on in the IDW comics, at least. I remember at one point Silverbolt characters doing a minor swear. Yeah, I really don't want to think about any of the three final bosses in Superstars. Just those are some of the most long-winded and unbearable gameplay I've ever had to suffer in a Sonic game. Even more so than 06, and I cut that game a fair bit of slack. Probably more so than it deserved. I'll admit the spin dash does make this a little bit more engaging though, just being able to just hop and glide in between the platforms. I'm not entirely certain whether you can actually hit him when he's doing that flailing arm attack. It would be nice to have multiple opportunities throughout this fight to actually attack him before he has to eventually rise from the depths like that. Yeah, I eventually managed to defeat Fang Mark II, but I couldn't do it with the Shadow Dragon at the end. Mostly because my version of the game is glitched where the meteors you couldn't actually home in on the meteors properly, so at that point I just couldn't take any more and just dropped it. Oh yeah, and I also put on the mod, I just remembered to add in the more high-tech, high-resolution egg carrier model here rather than the one you actually see here in the game, which is just an absolutely low-res looking, plastic looking thing, as opposed to this one which actually looks kind of nice. I was playing the Switch version. That's pretty much all I have to say about it, really. I was planning on getting it on PC, but with the whole Epic Games controversy thing, I figured I'd just steer clear of it. Also, it's kind of weird that Knuckles runs off in this direction when he's actually supposed to go this way to the jungle. Anyways, let's go see what Sonic and Tails are up to. I can still hear the Thunderbirds theme. I mean, the Switch version did crash on me a couple of times. And I didn't think it was too bad up until the true final boss, where the bug really just sort of broke the whole fight. Alright, and here's the stone statues, which also feature in IDW, because remember Sonic Adventure, heh. Before that, I want to go get Knuckles' fighting gloves, which, weirdly enough, didn't come back in Adventure 2. I get that, might have been kind of difficult to actually fit it on Knuckles' moveset in that game. It's just a super weird oddity. Yeah, I've also heard the multiplayer in Superstars is kind of warped. It's like a 4-player version of trying to play Tails as player 2 in Sonic 3. We're just constantly teleporting back to player 1. It's not good from what I've heard. As well as kind of janky. I mean, I suppose, but given how much movement you have in the, thinking about it, I'm not entirely certain as to whether, Knuckles' levels are dense enough in enemies in order to warrant actually having the maximum heat Knuckles attack. Yeah, it is definitely kind of weird that there's no online co-op for Superstars. I mean, well, I feel it would make sense. On the other hand, I keep thinking back to stuff like Team Sonic Racing's netcode and Sonic 4 Episode 2, which also had online co-op, and I think that sort of netcode would make, like, Smash Bros. Ultimate look like it has a rollback. Oh yeah, and that also reminds me. One little detail which I feel gets omitted a little bit here. This whole little big hole here, which Eggman's base is usually situated in. From my understanding, this is technically the area of land in which Angel Island originally resided before it was pulled up into the heavens. I mean, that feels sort of obvious, but at the same time, that I never quite got it as a kid, because you got the Knuckles clan, like, whole temple here, and then you just have the whole Angel Island shrine, which granted isn't one-to-one, but close enough. To be honest, I didn't even bother with Sonic 4 Episode 2. I was sort of burnt by Sonic 4 Episode 1 when I played it, and didn't really feel the need to get the sequel, which I've heard it's better than Episode 1 at the very least, but I'm not entirely certain if that's really a shining endorsement, to say the least. Anyways, let's go and figure out Lost World, the better version of Lost World, rather than that whole Lost Hex thing, which I still think doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm one of those sort of guys who doesn't really care for Lost World, if you couldn't tell. Also, I will admit, in terms of levels, this is sort of one of the more forgettable ones for me. It is certainly interesting at the very least that this is the only level in the game which has only 2 characters that go into it. In all other cases, it's 3 characters. Like, you got Sonic, Big, and Gamma for Emerald Coast, Sonic, Tails, and Gamma for Windy Valley, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles for Casinopolis, Sonic, Tails, Big for Ice Cap, Sonic, Amy, and Big for Twinkle Circuit, Twinkle Park, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles for Speed Highway, Sonic, Gamma, Knuckles for Red Mountain, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles for Skydeck. It's kind of weird that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all share a whole bunch of levels here, which I suppose is sort of fitting considering they're the main 3. Then final leg, it's Sonic. In this game, it's Lost World, it's only 2. Okay, it was in here all this time. That one didn't take too long, did it? Siving our way through these Knuckles stages, I must say. I remember vividly from SADX, the camera work in that particular cutscene is borked, so it's just a rear view behind Knuckles the whole time, which definitely hampers the nature of this scene, I will say. I did play a little bit of Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, mostly, fittingly enough, Knuckles' story, and a little bit of Tails' as well. I feel that with mods, the PC version is technically better because you can add all this sort of quality of life stuff like I have. And I have heard things about Shuffle. Just, the Carbuncle ate itself. I'll just say that. You know, given the size of the Chaos Emeralds in the past, I always assumed back then that they were technically the Super Emeralds. And more specifically, the Chaos Emerald sort of base form before having their power limited by the Master Emerald. Alright, take care. I will admit this whole shrine thing does definitely take me back to unlocking Chaos in Sonic Battle R and just the process that you had to go through in order to actually unlock him. I'm guessing things are definitely a lot different now though, to say the least. I always thought it was kind of convenient as well that the Master Emerald just shows Knuckles the carrier. Also the high-res model. I'm just wondering, what other sort of reception does Knuckles get on that thing? I mean, surely he has to do something to stave off the boredom. And no idea as to how exactly Gamma is here, he's just... Okay, I'll have to have a look at Sonic Battle R. Alright. Yeah, no idea exactly how this Gamma being here exactly fits in. I'm guessing it's not actually supposed to be Gamma, just more generic Egg Robo, but it's super convenient that it's just here. I feel this particular part of Knuckles' story is sort of weaker, just trying to find any sort of excuse to get him aboard the egg carrier at this point. I was shocked. This weird robot came out of nowhere. Strike's still going on, but it doesn't bother us since we're staying here. Was that a robot? It went through the tunnel into the jungle. So here's a weird little thing going on right here. Yeah, building just suddenly appeared right there, despite there being no such building there when we were last here, when I was discussing the whole, you know, this big hole in the ground being where Angel Island was. It's kind of amusing that Eggman just literally just built this big tower in the crater. Also, I just noticed the weird texturing around there. It does... I feel this definitely looks better at night. Okay, that's pretty interesting. You think Eggman should get better security on that door, given how everyone in there should just waltz right in there. I'll be sure to do that over the over the holidays. Probably give you something to some good streaming material at the very least, but regardless, here we are on the egg carrier with... Okay, I guess the helicopters come in a little bit later. With Knuckles making that weird face. There's the helicopters. Pretty sure these went unused, or at the very least were just in the Dreamcast version only. Yeah, I feel that Knuckles getting aboard the egg carrier here is sort of very weakly justified. He's just got to come up with some excuse to get him on the ship, so he goes to Eggman's base and just sneaks on while it's taking off during Gamma story, I'm guessing, even though that couldn't have been Gamma. There's no way it could have been Gamma. He's supposedly just fighting Veta in the basement. Let me just grab this emblem up here and look at all these rings, which I'm not gonna pick up. Anyways, here we have arguably the most interesting of Knuckles' levels, Skydeck, in which he makes Sonic's life a living nightmare by making this the most janky level in the game. Let's start off... We're putting this down here. Actually, we probably should just do it like that. I think we can afford to just... Oh! Well, we had something over there. Is there anything over here? Yep, I knew it! Of course there'd be one in there. Yeah, I definitely feel if this game does need a remake, there definitely has to be some tweaks to the story here and there. Like the whole thing with Amy, the time discrepancy between, you know, Amy getting kidnapped and her story, it's in basically right after she exits Twinkle Park, but Sonic has to zoom all over Speed Highway and yet just catches Amy as she's getting kidnapped in the morning. Okay, just need to reorient the ship one more time. If I can actually climb up the wall. I will admit though, I do, aside from Red Mountain of course, I do kind of like these hunting stages. They're more compact at the very least. Because I know a lot of complaints have been made about levels such as Mad Space and Meteor Herd. And I get it. They are quite big, you just spend a lot of time running around trying to find stuff, and not finding stuff. Look at that dynamic Dutch angle. He's such a hero. Look at him just sliding in place like that. It's almost as bad as Sonic and Amy's story in DX. And now we come full circle. We started with Sonic seeing this shrine on fire, and now we get the context. Definitely feel this is better worded than in the English localization. I suppose this is a good time to talk about Knuckles' first voice actor, who went unused in Adventure 1, except for his infamous "Oh no" voice clip. One of the most interesting aspects about him, aside from the fact that the time he sounds a lot of the time he sounds like a 60s superhero, is that he actually mentions Tikal by name in that last Tikal flashback, even though he's pretty sure he was never introduced as Tikal. I mean, she never. Let me just contextualize that. He never got her name. I'll just put it that way. Anyways, let's go fight Chaos 6. It's kind of crazy how with that bright light, Chaos is transformed, and in the time it gets us across this bridge, Sonic has already defeated it. And Pig's already had the most intense boss fight in the entire series. Look at that, it actually wrecked the engine, despite it being absolutely completely fixed in Gamma and Amy's boss fights later on. This game is about as consistent as Sonic Team as a whole. You think Knuckles would still want to get some comeuppance on Eggman? I will admit this is definitely one detail which I kind of liked about the Sonic X version of this encounter. In that it's Sonic and Knuckles fighting Chaos 6 together, rather than just Chaos 6 just randomly comes back to life and you have to fight it again. I will admit Maximum Heat Knuckles attack is a bit more finicky than the Lightspeed attack, mostly because you have to be on a flat surface in order for it to actually work. But when it does work, just like the Lightspeed attack, it does double damage to Chaos 6, which is nice. Oh yeah, and here's where you get the shockwaves. I kept forgetting where that actually came into play. Alright. Perfect. Didn't even get to his whole tail axe thing, he's just instantly deleted. And here I feel is where the problems really start to begin. Unfortunately. It's like, yeah, he's got the 6 emeralds and the Master Emerald back, but in terms of plot, here's where things start to get a little bit messy, I'll just say. Look at him just spazzing there in the corner. Crazy how it just runs up those stairs super fast here. Also was sort of annoyed how the texture of the shovel claw never seems that consistent vibe. It may have just been me not noticing he curled up his right fist as a kid. Shovel claws in general just look super weird to me in this game. So, yeah, he restores the Master Emerald that goes into the sky, only for later on it to just fall 5 minutes later anyway. It's just... I feel it might have been a bit more impactful had he restored the Emerald and the island not risen up again, just sort of leave us with a little bit of a intriguing cliffhanger. Sort of like the Dog Story in Adventure 2. I mean, I suppose this is a satisfying conclusion for Knuckles at the very least. It's just... it leads itself very poorly into the last story. And that right there is one of the more interesting talking points I want to discuss with Knuckles, mostly regarding his characterization in Frontiers. Of course, in the dub, which we're all likely aware of, he's more open to going out on adventures, basically as a means more so justifying him being in more games. Like what happened, so he's justified being in there, just unlike in Heroes No 6, where he may as well just been back guarding the Master Emerald. But in the Japanese dub of Frontiers, he actually, I get a lot of people think it's not as strong as Knuckles, as the English version, with Knuckles finally assigned to get off the island, but in the Japanese dub, he concludes that there's secrets, the secrets to the history of his Knuckles tribe is stuff that he finally is okay with learning the full context of, sorry. Sort of bringing itself full circle from this game, which I thought was a fairly nice little arc for his character. Starts out this game thinking that he's fine just remaining ignorant, and then seeing the connection with Angel Island and the Ancients, he realizes he can't remain ignorant. Blah. I get it's not much, especially compared to the whole getting off the island thing, but I definitely feel that's definitely an interesting direction that I'd want to see. Just Knuckles finally starting to learn more about the history of his clan, see where that leads. Obviously I doubt we're ever gonna get something like the Nocturnus clan, but I reckon we'll still get some interesting little bit of a tidbit here and there. Though obviously we'd probably we'd probably have to... I say we need to learn more about the Master Emerald given the context of the Chaos Emerald and Frontiers, which is just sort of one big question mark over that whole game's story now. Just you have the Ancients with these magical rocks which can somehow be manipulated by the Master Emerald, which we have no idea how it got there. It's just there on Earth. If we do get an adventure remake, I feel that might be something they end up covering. So with the rumors of a Adventure 1 remake, I have a feeling that with it they're going to retcon a few things to help it line up with Frontiers a little bit more, which I get that this game is a little bit messy, but still not entirely certain how I feel about it, because there's definitely good story elements of this game, mostly with Tails, Amy, and Gamma. More so, but I definitely feel they'd have to tread carefully with such retcons, because generally speaking, I get a lot of people are going to be upset if you just tread all over the work that was established here, because despite how its presentation has aged, a lot of people still love this game, me included. Obviously, going back to it, I feel concluded in saying that I personally prefer Adventure 2 more, but it's not to say I find this game bad or anything. I love it, just happen to like Adventure 2 more. But this version of Knuckles' theme is definitely a classic. Kind of weird that they haven't really brought it back the longest time, aside from the memes. Anyways, since we're here, well, this would probably be a good time to call it off. I feel, especially given how long I went over with last stream, I feel this will be a good time to just get the final story out of the way, so I can focus next week on a certain other game with a certain DLC. And here's where all the pieces come together, because of course Big used the Tornado 2 to get back home from the egg carrier, somehow not killing himself in the process. And right here, look. Angel Island just inexplicably falls again, and we never get an answer as to why. It just does. Kinda weird that he's skulking about in the jungle for now, since I'm led to assume Sonic wrecked the final egg base. But yep, Chaos survived. This leads to an interesting plot point that I might discuss later, but I don't think we ever actually get an explanation as to why Angel Island is just here. I mean, maybe it was something related to Chaos. That's what I, at the very least, assumed as a kid. I just love how Eggman's just beached there. And somehow Knuckles didn't notice until it was too late. Sonic never learns his lesson.
Tornado 2見つかったか？違う。大変なんだ。エンジェルアイランドがまた降りてきてるんだよ。なんだって？また何かあったっていうのか？
Sonic, how did you not notice Angel Island falling? It's right behind you. This whole landmass right here is Angel Island. How did you not notice it falling behind you? Anyways, I think since we're here, there's a couple of things that I want to discuss. Can't do anything about sponsors. If our sponsors quit, we're done. I want to have a little look around with all the NPCs first, since I've done a little bit of chatting here, but I figured now might be a good time to just discuss with all of them. The guys were so disappointed as they head home. Everything they worked so hard for is gone. Did I do that? But we couldn't find anything, so the whole expedition's been cancelled. Isn't that depressing? Yeah, I think I know the feeling. I just want to have a little discussion about all of them. Where it gets, my daughter's smile makes it better. I gotta work hard today, come on. Oh, it's the dad to a little girl who's been standing outside the station for 27 hours. My dad's off to work again. I hope he comes home early for once. Yeah, probably shouldn't. I'm just gonna say. Not much happening today. Nothing but peace and quiet in Station Square. It's good. Just a little dull. Be careful what you wish for. I don't want to be the one to tell him, but oh no. But I bet you beat Eggman again, didn't you? I hit the jackpot yesterday, now I can't stop. Honestly, this woman had a gambling problem. It's just like a kid in Pokemon. And going in here, not only get I met by Green Guy, but I get to work with him too. I sure lucked out, but now I got a new problem. I don't want to smile at him, and I'm supposed to smile at everybody. No, this is a job. Smile, grin, smile. That girl's got amazing powers. Just have her stand here and smile and watch the sales go through the roof. So yeah, there was this whole thing which I kind of skimmed over, this girl trying to express her feelings with this guy at the burger shop, but generally speaking, she was too nervous for out until eventually she worked up the courage to do so, and now here she is flipping burgers. Happy ending on that count. Don't be ridiculous. I come here during the day too. I'm not a vampire, you know. Hey, we got some excitement around here. I wish something would happen to get my blood pumping. Be careful what you wish for. Oh. My wonderful building will last forever. Who wants to tell them? We don't have many customers. I'm sure after a while this place will fill up. With something at the very least. Oh. Give me a look for an old friend of mine, but I don't have a clue where to look. Even the train station that's getting. I love how easy it is to get paid vacation time. Well, I hope you make the most of it, because I don't think you're gonna get very much of it. Oh no. Okay, nobody here, nobody here. I think we're safe to just go back and actually complete the story now. Okay, and at the very least I do get onto a talking point which I wanted to get onto before being rudely interrupted by this little side tangent, which being one little headcanon I had was that I always imagined that the reason Angel Island fell from the heavens again is because the Master Emerald was put up there in the first place to keep Chaos from rampaging across the earth, but since Chaos is already out, there's no real reason for the island to continue floating, so it just falls again. And one thing that's always stuck out to me, even after this game, we never actually see Angel Island rise up to the heavens again. It's just something which everyone was led to assume because I guess everyone forgot that it stayed on the ground after this game. Which I feel in context kind of makes sense, given it would be an ample opportunity for Rouge to come by and start snooping, and a golden opportunity to steal the Master Emerald, which, given Angel Island is supposed to be this mythical place, it seems like the timelines will match up for Rouge wanting to come to this island to steal its treasures. I feel pretty embarrassed though, going back with over the show for it. What can I do? You could stay here for a bit. You won't have to worry about embarrassment then. Okay, let's actually continue the story.
Sonic か。すまん。ナックルズ。エッグマンもどうしたんだ。カオスエメラルドを奪われちまった。カオスは奴はまだ生きてる。何？
何？
くそー。このままじゃ済まさん。エッグマン待て。ソニック、カオスはとんでもない怪物だ。奴が最後のカオスエメラルドを手に入れちまったら。分かった。もう何も言うな。行くぞテイルス。
Yep, we all saw the mural back in Sonic's story. We all know what horrors await us.
ここはあの時の夢じゃなかったのか。
This was another little detail that I actually kind of liked in the Sonic X version, in which Sonic and Knuckles both come back to experience this flashback, which, I mean, you'd expect Knuckles to be here at the very least just to wrap up the story. His story of his people. And yet, it's Sonic that actually goes through with it. It's a weird detail. I will admit, though, with the storytelling on display here, I will say this game definitely does go out on a high note. Oh no, she fell over. No one even rushed into her, they just ran past and she fell over. At least they sort of drop kicked the Chow here in their stampede. And all of a sudden the Chaos Emeralds are the correct smaller size. What's going on with that? Yeah, definitely better than the dub version of this scene. Ah, it's a monster! I mean, I guess you could argue Knuckles experienced at least a fraction of this scene, that being that part, but aside from that, nothing. Oh yeah, and I just remembered this. Back in the day, the old Game FAQs days, I remember some people saying that if you stand in the fire here as Sonic, you could basically become Mighty the Armadillo. At least in the DX version, I don't think it's quite as effective here with the Dreamcast stuff going on, which... Yeah, it sounds real kind of silly when you think about it now, but that was how stuff was perceived back then. Even stuff like Shadow the Hedgehog, with when you use Chaos Control, people saying he turns into Mephiles, which obviously isn't the case. It's just something people tend to bring up. Yep, classic playground rumors. That reminds me, is Mighty even in Sonic Battle R at this point? Yeah, we're starting to come up to the end now, yeah. Good thing you're okay.
突然ぼーっとするんだもん。心配しちゃったよ。ナックルズももう行っちゃったよ。ねえ、早く最後のカオスエメラルドを探さないと。そうだな。トルネード2が見つかれば。
Okay, I'll probably have to look into that. But yeah, another running joke that I had was mostly with that one particular line from Tails in the dub, which just got edited really weird, so it just sounds like it gets cut off at the end. So it just sounds like you say, "Good thing you're okay." It's just so weird. Tails gets a whole bunch of funny lines in this game, like, "I wonder what happened to Sonic." Anyways, yeah, I think we've already talked to everyone about the horror which is about to be unleashed, so let's just get on with things. Let's just get on with proceedings, so let's just kill everyone in Station Square, I suppose. Still better than how it was handled in Sonic X. Seriously, that scene in Sonic X, looking back at it, was just the stupidest thing, where they're trying to get the last emerald and Chris is just running towards them with it in his hand, like, "Hey, the emerald's right here, in my hand, do you see it?" And then just Chaos just immediately snatches it from him, like... I still probably need to watch X again. It's just, I remember that scene in particular being quite the egregious one, with just being another one of Chris's many minuses in people's books. So people were saying that it was a fairly boring day in Station Square. Not anymore. You'd think, with how fast this happened, there'd at least be one fatality. Especially with this massive tsunami wave coming at it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one person in this whole city that's not surviving that. Also, remember that old man saying nothing was going to happen to his building? This is the building in which you enter Speed Highway from, and yeah. Chaos is now wearing it as a suit. And then we immediately hop over to this model with this weird looking lip. I mean, it's better looking than it was back in DX at the very least. And then he just so happens to have another egg carrier in his pocket. Yeah, you can see in the corner there, you can just see Eggman's little Eggmobile model right there. Another indication, yeah, you see it again, but it's another indication that this whole game was not designed with widescreen in mind. There he goes. So I mentioned before it was kind of weird in the unused dub that Knuckles knew Tikal's name, and yet somehow Sonic does as well. I don't think he ever had the chance to get Tikal's name. It's kind of weird that this whole thing about absorbing the Emerald's power never really got picked up again after this. The whole negative... Oh yeah, this, I tried getting it some more faithful to the Dreamcast, but I can see why you'd think stuff like this looks kind of nightmarish in your eyes. Anyways, we're getting up to this cool little Easter egg in which we have this chant here. Of all the people back cheering for this game when it was first announced at the Tokyo International Forum, which I feel was sort of a neat little Easter egg on par with, I think, the end of Sonic Generations, where I think it was the Sonic Expo, where they're all yelling Happy Birthday Sonic. I forget the actual place, but it was a cool little fun detail nonetheless. And here he is. It kind of feels less epic when you realize that's just a standard pose. Oh yeah, and I also included a mod to switch around the music for Perfect Chaos, since I figured that this theme would be more fitting for the first phase of the fight, where it's actually just, look at me, I'm Perfect Chaos, I'm super dangerous. You know, basically a similar sentimentality to Solaris in Sonic 06. Or Perfect Dark Gaia, or the Nega Wisp Armor. Or should I say Dark Wisp Armor? NEGA Wisp Armor, let's just go with that. Honestly, there's... I will say, in terms of supersonic fights, this is definitely one of the easier ones, because once you figure out you can just increase your speed by jumping, it's, kind of takes a lot of the challenge out of it. But regardless, we finally get, let's wrap this up with Open Your Heart screaming in the background. And that ray of sunshine screaming through the heavens to indicate that this is our moment. Let's do this. Thunder, rain and lightning. Thunder, rain and lightning. Thunder, rain and lightning. It's such a bad... Thunder, rain and lightning. Thunder, rain and lightning. Thunder, rain and lightning. It's us. All the steps we take, all the steps we take, all the steps we... Sorry, I'll stop. No idea how I managed to hit that that run when I got stopped, but... So it's implied that Chaos only absorbed half the power of the emeralds, that being the negative energy. With Supersonic, he absorbed the positive energy to make himself super, so... I guess that's where the whole argument of the Dark Supersonic comes in. I'll play with you some other time. I will admit that did kind of feel cathartic after Superstars. And now we get all the sad music. As Chaos no longer has the emeralds in him, he's just... His babies are coming to tell him to stop, aw.
つの破壊衝動は消えたのか。
スーパーソニックのパワーがそれを打ち消したんだ。
Use the positive to neutralize the negative, I guess.
あなたが守ったチャオたちよ。
So are these the exact same Chao from the past? I mean, I get that Chao can regenerate, but how many times have these ancient Chao alien things regenerated? And speaking of which, that's a big question as to how how Chaos now relates to the ancients, because I'm pretty sure the ancients didn't have those brains. And I get that Chaos is supposed to be mutated by Chaos Energy, so does that mean that with enough exposure to Chaos Energy, a Chao could mutate back into an Ancient? And I feel there's also a little bit of a misconception as to what's happening here as well. I've sort of assumed that they're just sort of passing on to the afterlife rather than going back into the Master Emerald, because with the whole storyline with Chaos's cycle of hatred, that doesn't really make much sense. Well, here we go, here's the big line. As I look out over the devastation. I mean, that's slightly better with Tails just being glad it's all over, as opposed to all's well that ends well, right? All's well that ends well in this city filled with drowning people. Who's gonna clean all this up? And yeah, that's the whole shebang. So once again, with the PC version of this game at least, I would definitely recommend using pods just to make the game a more presentable, put it in a more presentable state. As the PC version of this on Steam is arguably the worst version. The worst version, I'd say, hands down, would definitely be the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 version, mostly because it's the same as the Steam version, but you can't mod it, so steer clear of that if you can. But final thoughts on this game, I suppose. I mean, obviously, despite its presentation not aging the best and the story not exactly meshing well, it's still a classic, and I'm gonna be the one who says it. It's a better adaptation to 3D than Mario 64 was. I mean, I get that Mario 64 did a lot of the heavy lifting with the actual transitioning to 3D, so Sonic Adventure could sort of copy its homework in a sense, but I feel kind of because of that, Adventure kind of comes ahead of 64 in that regard. I mean, obviously 64 is going to be more well remembered than this in the long run, even if slightly more, but generally speaking, I feel, especially the Dreamcast version, it's I feel it's worthy of standing at least in the same ballpark as 64, as just being this significant piece of gaming history, which I suppose is sort of the best way to look at it, really. It's Sonic history. It's like looking back at a say an old show from like the 60s, and obviously the technology isn't quite there as it is compared to more modern shows, but there's still stuff that's entertaining about it. Suppose, like, yeah, going on a similar route, I'd say it's sort of like a 60s cartoon. It's obviously not as well animated as some more recent cartoons, but regardless, it still has its charm, it still has its charming characters, it still has its story, even though it's again, it doesn't match up one-to-one. And in a way, it is kind of iconic, especially with this music. Like, think for how long Supersonic was associated with the song Open Your Heart. It's just... You pair those two together and it's just... chef's kiss. Sort of like Live and Learn with Super Shadow, or I guess I Am All of Me if you want to be that guy. This game definitely did a lot for the series, I must say. In the direction it ultimately went with Adventure 2, Heroes, and it is kind of a shame with the more recent, with how, especially in the 2010s, its reputation just sort of got dragged from the mud, mostly because of how bad the Steam port was initially without mods. I mean... Nutty Dave. Needless to say, if the rumors to the possibility of a Sonic Adventure remake on the table now of all times, I will definitely be scrutinizing it, but I will say this game definitely deserves it. Aww. Just short of 50, that's a shame. So, yeah. I think that's basically everything I wanted to cover. I know that there's obviously the Chow Gun, but again, I kind of wanted to save that for when I eventually stream Adventure 2, which will probably be ages from now. So yeah, still definitely enjoy this game, arguably more so than Frontiers, which... I mean, I already have a save file for all the emblems, so... You know what, given the time, we may as well, just tack on a little bit of a bonus at the end. Here we go, 130 emblems, and... we may as well go one more time. I mean, obviously for all the emblems we get Metal Sonic, but I want to go through just one more as normal Sonic for one very particular reason, which we'll see once we get in there. Emerald Coast. There's a very special mod that I put on just for when you've beaten the game. Let me just get myself up to 50 right now. Shouldn't take too long. 50, and just jump, press the action button. There we go. I have the mod on which allows you to play Supersonic in levels as was initially intended. Obviously I get why the Supersonic in the Perfect Chaos fight wasn't allowed in levels, because especially stuff like Windy Valley just broke in half. But there's something else which I also have, which I kind of want to showcase. Let me just get up to 100 rings right now. And, yeah. Ooh, a mod that I got, which, as a reward for also getting 130 emblems, Hypersonic. I don't think it's all that different from Supersonic in all honesty, it's just shiny aura, and, I think it might be faster than Supersonic, I'm not entirely certain. But it does kind of make me curious as to whether or not we'll see any mods in the future for Supersonic 2 and Sonic Adventure. But I will admit, with the addition of Supersonic 2, I've had a little bit of a headcanon myself. That mostly being the idea that since Hypersonic and Supersonic 2 are sort of accumulating sort of different ways of, well, more so the cyberspace being linked to the Chaos Emeralds, and the Super Emeralds being basically powered up Chaos Emeralds, that basically what I'm trying to get at is the potential idea that Hypersonic is basically just a different flavor of Supersonic 2. I'll just get up on the thing. I mean, obviously you don't get the sort of seizure-inducing texture in like Frontiers mods for Hypersonic, but I figured it was interesting as a potential means of Hypersonic actually appearing in a game at some point. But yeah, aside from that, I think now I'm done, so hopefully you have some happy holidays. We'll be coming back. The next Sonic game I'll be doing is, of course, Sonic Dream Team. Why did I go to Dreams Collection? That's the last game I want to do, but yeah. Gonna see if I can get Dream Team to work, and we'll see how that plays, but until then, I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.